Traakenholt, Episode 3. Following the recent storm, the sea was moving brokenly, and the waves snatched and jerked at the tiny craft, causing it to rock unevenly as it slowly made its way across the surface of the bay, dutifully carrying its two small occupants. Trivian wasn't feeling at all comfortable as he sat in the front of the small rowboat, gripping tightly to the gunwales. However, his fear and confusion had little to do with the water around him. Despite his tender age, he had been out in far worse before. Storms and angry seas are a fact of life for any fisherman, and just as with all other fishers, sons of Tenk, Trivian had already accompanied his father on fishing trips in seas far worse than these. In fact, he felt quite comfortable in the boat, and given the choice would have happily stayed out on the water all day long, rowing back and forth with his companion. It was the imminent end of the journey that was causing the nausea. Wallick, on the other hand, couldn't wait for them to get to their destination. He was already tired from having to row single-handedly, and they hadn't even got halfway yet. He was only along as a witness, and so didn't really understand how he had ended up doing all the heavy work, whilst Trivian just sat there doing nothing. Neither boy spoke. Indeed, they didn't even make eye contact whenever Wallick briefly glanced over his shoulder to verify that they were still headed the right way. As Wallick continued to huff and puff at the oars, Trivian just stared out at the horizon and tried to make sense of how they had come to be in this position in the first place. Wallick gave a sigh of relief as he felt the prow of the boat bump against the rocks of the island. He glanced over his shoulder to confirm their arrival before turning round on his thwart to face forward and address Trivian.
Well, off you go then.
He waved his hand at the island. Trivian glanced at the island before looking back at Wallick. He didn't say anything, but his eyes were big and watery like a dog's when begging for titbits. Wallick wasn't having any of it.
Go on. If you waste time, then you forfeit and I win. And you know what that means? What? Says who? Says the rules. What rules? Since when? Since forever. That's what the rules always say. That's not what we agreed. What we agreed was you get on the island or I win. So, get on the island or I win.
Now, Trivian looked more like a kicked dog. Trivian could feel the tears welling up as panic started to take hold, and then he looked back at Wallick and saw the smile of gleeful satisfaction, and his resolve suddenly hardened.
Okay, but hold the boat steady whilst I'm stepping off. If you make me fall in the water, it ends and you're next.
And he wiped his eyes on his tatty sleeve.
Oh, is somebody a little crybaby now? Want your mummy?
Wallick was enjoying twisting the knife. In response, Trivian stood up and turned to the front of the boat.
Just shut up and hold the boat steady.
He commanded over his shoulder before stepping cautiously out of the boat onto the smooth black rocks of the island's shore.